What's up, everybody? My name's TJ Russ. Hope you're doing well and having a great day. And welcome to my first ever YouTube album review of Rae Sremmurd's new album, Sremmlife 2. We're really starting it out on a high note, as you can see. Anyway, not going to spend too much time on any particulars about my channel, but I will just say a couple things before I get into this review. Please subscribe, like, and share my videos if you're a music lover, if you love hearing reviews about music, if you love talking about music, and if you like hearing other individuals' opinions on music today, then be sure to subscribe to my channel. Without any further delay, let's get into this album. For any of you who have been living under a rock for the last 2 years or so and have no earthly idea who Rae Sremmurd is, they are a very dynamic and prolific hip-hop duo. Have released one album so far, Sremmlife, released that at the beginning of 2015. That album yielded a number of hot singles on the charts, such as No Flex Zone, No Type, This Could Be Us, and others. When Rae Sremmurd first, I guess, started popping, I didn't really dig their music, but as time went on, I began to appreciate them more and more, particularly because back at that time, in late 2014 and early 2015, there weren't really many other artists doing what Rae Sremmurd was doing besides Future and Young Thug. But as time went on, I began to appreciate Rae Sremmurd more and more. And when Sremmlife dropped, I actually legitimately enjoyed the album. I thought it was pretty good. There were no tracks on it that I outright disliked. Although, I mean, some tracks were, I would call decent. But it wasn't an album that I hated. It was just a funny, cool, great turn-up album to party to and to listen to and have fun listening to. So after that album dropped, I was interested to see where Rae Sremmurd would go next. Would they continue this very audacious, very dynamic tangent that they take with their music, or would they go in another direction? And earlier this year, when they released the lead single for Sremmlife 2 called By Chance, my hopes for another album like Sremmlife were basically dashed to the floor. For one, because By Chance is honestly the worst song that Rae Sremmurd has ever put out. It's just annoying from start to finish. Even the music video is just stupid. So I was like, oh god, this album is going to be horrible. But then my hopes were lifted when Rae Sremmurd followed up By Chance with releases like Look Alive, Do Yoga, and Set the Roof. Set the Roof being a very upbeat, a very crazy song in general, with a very addicting hook by Lil Jon. And Look Alive and Do Yoga, while much more low-key than previous Rae Sremmurd songs that I've heard, they were also very catchy. They were very wavy. And I enjoyed them, particularly Look Alive, which recently was remixed by Migos. So I went into Sremmlife 2 with some reservation, because I already knew right off the bat I wasn't going to like By Chance. But I was interested to see what other tracks Rae Sremmurd would put into this album. And overall, I was actually surprised on how decent this album is. Other than By Chance, there were no other songs on this project I outright disliked. Sure, there were some that were decent, such as Take It or Leave It, Now That I Know, Came a Long Way, which was actually probably the most lyrical song on the album, if you can call Rae Sremmurd lyrical. And ironically, a lot of the boring songs on this album appear on the last 2 or 3 songs. And by the way, I'm reviewing the non-deluxe version of the album. I haven't listened to the deluxe version yet, or the Target version of the album. Just wanted to make that clear for anyone who wants to know. But besides some mediocre / decent tracks, there's actually a number of bangers on this album, such as Start a Party, which is very high speed, a really great intro to this album. You had Shake It Fast with a pretty funny Juicy J verse that was dope as well. You had Real Chill. I thought Kodak Black's feature was decent. But then again, for any of you guys coming over here from my Instagram, you guys probably know that I'm not a big fan of Kodak Black. Probably the craziest songs on this album are Shake It Fast and Set the Roof. This album also contains a number of low-key tracks, Just Do Yoga, Look Alive, Black Beatles, Came a Long Way, which, as I mentioned before, was rather mediocre, at least in my opinion, even though it was slightly lyrical. But after listening to this album, I've given it a few listens. I have to say this album did not live to the expectations that Rae Sremmurd set for themselves with Sremmlife. And the reason I say that is because Sremmlife 2 is much less charismatic. It's much less original than Sremmlife was. Sremmlife was released at a time in hip-hop a little more than a year and a half ago, when turn-up hip-hop was more original than it is today. Not all the artists were copying each other. Young Thug and Future weren't copying each other. They were both making original music that, while it was turn up, it sounded different from what each other were putting out. And then you threw Rae Sremmurd into the mix, and it added more eclectic turn up into the mix. In 2016, though, we have so many turn up rappers doing their thing, like 21 Savage, Lil Uzi Vert, Lil Yachty. Even Future has started to fall into the trap. You have Designer. You have Migos, which have been around for a bit, but they're getting more and more mediocre as time goes on. And when you throw Sremmlife 2 into the mix, there's not really that much that separates Sremmlife 2 from all these other turn-up projects that have dropped in 2016. There's nothing terribly original about the project. There's nothing in Sremmlife 2 that's really going to define hip-hop for the next year or two, like I would argue Sremmlife did. And I think that is really the biggest issue I have with Sremmlife 2. It's not necessarily the album itself, it's just that it did not live up to the standard that I hope it would live up to with Sremmlife. And believe me, I like good party music. I like good party hip-hop. I don't expect every hip-hop album I listen to be bars from start to finish like I would expect from Kendrick Lamar or J. Cole or even someone like Schoolboy Q. I don't expect that from Rae Sremmurd. But I at least expected something in this new album that I heard in Sremmlife, and I just didn't really get it. I also thought that Rae Sremmurd were less vocally cohesive on this album than they were on Sremmlife, and that was really obvious on tracks like By Chance or Set the Roof. There's off-kilter, off-tune. It just was not a good mix on this album. And when you put it next to Sremmlife, it just doesn't add up. Like, what has happened? What's going on here? If I sound confused and if I'm confusing you all, I apologize. But honestly, this album, it's very confusing for me to dissect and analyze because there's good elements to it that I like. And for 2016 standards, it's a good turn-up album compared to some of the turn-up projects that have dropped already. But on the other hand, when you put it up against Sremmlife, it's just not that good. It just does not live up to the standard that Rae Sremmurd set for themselves with their debut album. So, in conclusion, Sremmlife 2 is a decent album, but it just did not live up to the standard that I hoped it would live up to. It's not as crazy and as charismatic and as original that I hoped it would be. So, this is what I'll say. If you're a Rae Sremmurd fan, and if you loved Sremmlife, I'd say check this album out, but I don't think you're going to enjoy it as much as you enjoyed Sremmlife. If you don't like Rae Sremmurd, I would actually say check this album out because they come from a different tangent on this album musically that you might actually enjoy it if you did not necessarily enjoy Sremmlife. And if you've never listened to Rae Sremmurd's music, I'd say check out Sremmlife and then check out this album. Well, if you enjoyed Sremmlife, then check out this album and see what you think. Overall, I give this project a 6 out of 10. Again, as I say, I apologize if this all sounded confusing to you, but honestly, this album was just very confusing for me to analyze because there's good parts to it, but it just did not live up to the standard that I hoped it would live up to. That's basically what I have to say about Sremmlife 2. Hope y'all are doing well. Subscribe to my channel, like and share my videos. Follow me on Instagram at TJRussReviews. Hope y'all are having a good day. Peace.